Vegito and Gogeta are constantly pitted against each other in the Dragon Ball fandom, despite the two fusions being realistically the same character. A lot of people argue that one is better than the other in terms of things like personality, which isn't fair since one of them has only said a few lines canonically, or in more interesting ways like arguing which has the better design or which type of fusion gives the greatest return in terms of utility and power. But today, we're not comparing the two, rather we're combining them. So let's ask, what would happen if Vegito and Gogeta fused? Obviously, this can't be a story since there's no scenario outside of speculative time travel or massively altering the known future timeline where the two can exist not only at the same time, but interact with each other. So consider this a more analytical what if before you complain in the comments that this isn't narrative focused. This video is about the question and its real answer, not writing a fan fiction. So to start, how would the two fusions even fuse? While it seems like both options are available to the pair, that may not actually be the case. When it comes to Metamoran fusion, we've never seen a double fusion in the series, so we don't know for sure that a fusion doing the dance would be able to fuse again. However, without this limitation being directly placed on the technique, I don't see a big reason to dismiss the possibility. Just wanted to make it clear that this is speculative at best. Potara does have a bit more information in this department though. When Potara is first introduced, it's more of a way to merge rather than fuse, as this is supposedly permanent. Other notable mergers in the series would be that of the Namekians. Mergers tend to be irreversible, while fusions tend to be timed and limited. Of course, this is retconned inside of Buu and further explained to be Elder Kai's lack of knowledge regarding the Potara in Dragon Ball Super. Also, the Namekian Dragon Balls being able to split Kibito Kai is a notable retconning of their supposed permanence as well. If this permanent Kai merger, a literal tool of the gods, isn't stronger than Elder Mori, then I think Elder Kai was hyping it up a bit too much if you ask me. Before anyone mentions it, while Kefla's earrings did break right before she split back into Caulifla and Kale, this is never described as a way to end a Potara merger. If this was the case, then Elder Kai's being destroyed by Goku and Vegeta would have diffused him as well. I believe the point was more so to avoid them being used again in the tournament, or a symbolic sign that her time as a merger had ended. Back to our main subject though, is there a reason they wouldn't be able to use the Potara as Vegito and Gogeta? Well, according to Elder Kai, while he still believes the merger to be permanent, he tells Goku that you can only use the Potara once, and this can mean a few things. Remember though, Elder Kai could be wrong, as he has been in the past about the Potara, and also this is under his assumption that once Goku merges with somebody, he will never unmerge. So this is under the assumption that a fused character is using the Potara again. The first possible explanation of what he's saying is that the specific pair of Potara can only be used once by that specific fusion. For example, Goku can use Elder Kai's Potara to become Vegito, but Vegito can't use those same exact Potara to merge with Gogeta. Vegito would need to use Supreme Kai's Potara in order to accomplish this in this example. The second possible explanation is that a Potara merged being can never merge again with the Potara, regardless of whose Potara they try to use. In this scenario, the one I believe to be most likely as well, to be honest, a Potara fusion may never fuse again with the Potara in any capacity, which would remove Potara fusion from this scenario. Considering the fact that there's a possibility that option 1 is correct, or Elder Kai is just wrong, let's be honest, I'll briefly touch on what I believe would happen if they use Potara. So, as the setup to this scenario, we have two pairs of Vegeta and Goku. Time travel, doppelgangers, or slime Vegeta style clones, it doesn't matter, just know that we have two pairs of them. The first pair perfectly execute the fusion dance and become Gogeta. The second pair use Elder Kai's Potara to become Vegito. They then ask Shin for his Potara, and the two merge into what the hell do I call this guy? Go Power Rangers? The two merge into Gogeta, or whatever you'd like to call this ultimate DeviantArt abomination of a character. This merger multiplies the power of Gogeta and Vegito, making an insanely strong fighter. However, there is a massive catch. While the time the battle with Merge Zamasu took is incalculable, at least not accurately, we do have a rough measure of time for Kefla's fusion with the Potara, less than 2 minutes. So let me ask you, ignoring the Dragon Ball Super manga for the sake of this video, do you think a post-Tournament of Power Gogeta and Vegito are stronger than Kefla? Even if we lowball and say Gogeta and Vegito are equal to Kefla in terms of raw power, what would multiplying 2 Keflas together do to the Potara's already extremely limited timer? This is not as simple as having the time limit either. Since we're multiplying their powers, the decrease of that timer would be exponential rather than linear. Now, the only good thing about this would be the fact that their speed would drastically increase as well, so it's possible that they'll compensate enough for their lowered timer with raw speed, but it's hard to be certain of that either. There's also the fact that the fusion may be even stronger due to the rival boost, a higher increase from the Potara fusion that some guidebooks mention and even Elder Kai implies when talking about Vegito in canon. Would Vegito and Gogeta consider each other rivals and get a rival boost? Well, that's unclear, but it is interesting to keep in mind. So to surmise, if Gogeta and Vegito merged with the Potara, they would multiply their strength, perhaps even getting an extra rival boost on top of it, and become an incredibly powerful fighter, but at the cost of time. This would be the shortest fusion in the series by far, but it's possible their speed would compensate for the shortened time limit to make it a non-factor. Basically, the faster you move, the less time you need. Think of the Tournament of Power as an example of this. Oh, and as for design, Potara is supposed to merge the outfits of the beings who are merged, like we see with Vegito himself in the Buu arc and Merge Zamasu in the future Trunks arc. So all we have to do is merge their outfits, or that's what I would say if Vegito had a different outfit in the future Trunks arc. Why is his outfit based on Vegeta's Buu arc clothing? And don't get me started on Kibito Kai, who just keeps Kibito's clothes for some reason. Is that a Kai thing? If so, why did Merge Zamasu get new clothes? None of this makes sense! Okay, I'm good. Just assume the outfits merge. So Vegito's normal clothing with the long belt, shoulder pads, and wrist straps of Gogeta instead of the gloves, of course. I told you this would be a DeviantArt abomination, didn't I? Alright, with Potara covered, let's move on to the fusion dance. As I said before, we haven't been told if there is or isn't a limitation on using the fusion dance as a fusion, so let's go with the assumption that there isn't a limit. Now, this is where weirdness and vagueness occurs with the fusion dance, and that's entirely due to the fact that the series, as of lately, doesn't want the differences between the comparable fusion techniques to be very clear. In the beginning, everything was supposed to make Potara the clear winner as Elder Kai hypes it up, but now the difference is less apparent. Some guidebooks even imply that they share the same multiplicative capabilities, and others boast that the Potara's rival boost is the plausible reason that Vegito is so strong. The rival boost isn't a thing with Metamoran fusion, and because of that, if 2 pairs of equally powerful Gokus and Vegetas did both type of fusions, well, that would make Gogeta weaker than Vegito every single time. But why is that even important? If both fusions multiply the powers of the people fused, then this would affect Vegito and Gogeta using the Potara just as much as it would affect them using the fusion dance, right? Well, it actually may work differently for both, and that is entirely due to the fact that the fusion dance works differently than the Potara earrings. The dance requires both users to be at equal power levels to merge, and if they aren't equal, one must drop their power to merge with the other. Take Trunks lowering his power to match Goten's as a clear example of this. That's actually another way some people, including myself, can see Metamoran being weaker than Potara fusion. Let me explain. Assume we have 2 people, A and B. Now assume that B is weaker than A. If A and B put on Potara to fuse, they are multiplied A times B as is. It's as simple as that. Now let's run that same scenario again. 2 characters, A and B is weaker than A, yada yada, you get it. The difference is, instead of fusing with the Potara earrings, they use the fusion dance. Well, since A is stronger than B and he has to lower his power to match B, that wouldn't make the multiplier actually A times B, it makes the multiplier B squared. To make this even easier to see, we can use simple numbers. A equals 3 and B equals 2. If A and B fuse with the Potara, their power is 6. But if they use the fusion dance, then their power is 4 because A had to drop his power to match B. So since we already established the lack of rival boost would make Gogeta weaker than Vegito, that also puts the fusion dance Gogeta... I'm never gonna get used to saying this. This puts the fusion dance Gogeta at a very big disadvantage when paired against the Potara equivalent. However, he may have the advantage here in time. While Super Saiyan 3 is directly stated to drain from the time of the fusion dance by Trunks, it didn't seem to be an issue in the Broly movie with Gogeta Blue. Even as Veku, that's the skinny and fat failed fusions of Gogeta, if you didn't know, his power shouldn't diminish enough to be less than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks from the Buu saga, right? So if those failed fusions lasted 30 minutes, then why wouldn't Gogeta? It is specifically described as an issue for the stamina-intensive Super Saiyan 3 form rather than a fault of the fusion itself when it happens with Gotenks. Beyond that, Gotenks even remains fused for a bit after Super Saiyan 3 drops off. Trunks says it even naturally dropped off rather than Super Saiyan 3 ending the fusion early, so it actually seems highly likely that the 30-minute timer would fully play out, giving this fusion dance version of Gogeta, I'm really never gonna get used to saying that, a massive time advantage over his Potara fused counterpart. Oh, and as for design, maybe he gets Vegito's extra bang? I don't know, clothing shouldn't change for Gogeta since, you know, Metamoran clothing happens with Metamoran fusion, but if he does get Vegito's bang, he's just basically Vegito in Metamoran clothing. Why am I even trying to talk about design anymore? So here's your deal at the moment. You can pick more power with an extremely limited timer in the form of Potara fusion, or you can pick less power, but basically a guaranteed 30-minute timer to get the job done. Those are your only options when merging Gogeta and Vegito, and outside of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, I'd say we can expect to never see this happen in the series. Either way, these mergers should be the strongest thing we've ever seen in the series outside of maybe Angels and above, so trust me when I say Beerus wouldn't even stand a chance. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you so very much for watching.